Hello. It's a dark and dreary day in Minnesota. It was raining all day earlier, so I am currently at the pickleball courts in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Check it out. Pretty nice. Nobody's playing pickleball today. The temperature dropped like 30 degrees in one day since last night. So that's usually people are like, it's winter again, but it's not really winter. It's the beginning of fall. I call this the beginning of winter. It's the first day when it really drops cold. Although we had some earlier. It's 61 today, I think, but it's also windy. That's kind of why I came in the pickleball courts, is I was hoping that there wouldn't be too much wind disturbance, because I'm near, you can't really see it, but behind that black fence across the street is the Eden Prairie Airport. It's like a small private airport. It's very cool. Sometimes even the News 4 helicopter goes out from there. It has a hangar, and then military's got one too, and the Air Force. So got to support the local blood. Anyways, yeah, the wind is a little bit better in here. Plus, it's fun to make videos in different areas. I was gonna go down into the park further on around the lake. It's called Staring Lake, right? What a creative name, Staring Lake. I almost did an impression there. I gotta watch myself. Staring Lake. Okay, that's it. I promise no more. It's where we go stare at the lake. It's good for staring. It's good for staring. I like staring. Staring, staring, staring lake. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. So since the rain is gone and since nobody's here, what a fantastic opportunity. I'm gonna see if I can get some of these clouds in the backdrop. You may not be able to really see them clearly, but that could be interesting, right? Anyways, the point of this video, right? Let's get to that. I was hoping to just touch on the yogic concept of discrimination. It's otherwise known as Viveka, Viveka, Viveka. It's discrimination, not in the way that you would normally immediately jump to, not racial discrimination or gender discrimination or disability discrimination, whatever that's called. Not that kind of discrimination, not cutting somebody down. This kind of discrimination is about ferreting out the unreal from the real, the truth from the untruth, or the truth from the lie, whichever way you want to look at it. And this is something I feel very strongly in this day and age. We unfortunately need to focus on certain things that seem really practical and maybe not so mystical, and sense of grandeur, and this maniacal ego trip everyone gets on where they want to be number one in a planet of 8 billion. Somehow that's realistic. Everyone's vying to be number one. So with that comes a lot of side things maybe you wouldn't think of, like a lot of untruth, a lot of lie. There's certainly a lot of lies spreading around, and it's very hard to figure out what is the truth and what is the lie. I personally struggle with this every day. Is the government and the media telling me the truth, or do they have their own agenda? Is the person trying to sell me a Ford vehicle telling me the truth, or does he just want to make a sale? On and on and on and on and on and on. This is sort of the unfortunate side effect of a capitalistic system, or capitalism, if that's actually what it is. At least that's what we say that it is, and I think everyone generally understands what that is. It's a society where money is king, corporations are king, where a lot of the decisions that drive us are based on finance. So maybe it pollutes our sense of justice, and maybe we would do the right thing, but we're willing to make compromises so that we can get a paycheck. Unfortunately, you have to do that. You have to pay your bills. You have to do this and that. You got to go to the doctor. You got to go to the dentist. You got to get your car repaired. Everything breaks down. You got to go buy new stuff. You got to throw that stuff away. You got to donate that stuff. You got to put that stuff in storage. And you got to buy more stuff to make up for the fact that the stuff is in storage and that you donated it, because now you're feeling lonely without your giant pile of stuff. People joke about hoarding, but Like, what modern American is not a hoarder? Give me a break. We all like our stuff. That's okay. This world is a giant. In the yogic term, I would say desire sort of runs the whole scheme, right? So our infinite desires for all this stuff is actually what drives the entire program. If we didn't desire so much stuff, imagine what that would look like. Imagine if you didn't feel that you needed that extra pair of gloves. Now, I personally like having lots of gloves. As a specific example, I have many pairs of gloves. I love gloves. I like the ability to have the freedom to have gloves. However, where is the point where we decide that enough is enough? How much is too much? Could we do without? So desire runs the whole game. If we are ever able to channel that and control that desire to some degree, imagine the things that each person would be capable of. And a whole community of people, a whole world community of people all contributing without so much greed and desire, really just looking out for the common good. And it doesn't even have to be extraordinary, just a basic common human good of all humans. What would that look like? That's not the world that we live in right now. I will tell you what. There's just so many things. So back to the point of discrimination. Because of the desire, because of this capitalism society in America, it requires a certain level of being able to ferret out BS or bull, you know what, bull crapola. I'm getting really careful about swearing on the line. I like to have my videos up, and although I've checked the box that marks not for children, right, because something might slip, don't worry, we'll do our best. Discrimination is really important. So I think the immediate question that I would ask if I didn't know anything about discrimination is, don't touch your face. Remember, not supposed to touch your face, if that's still a thing. It just looks bad on video, right? Discrimination is something I think that you can practice, sort of like studying for a quiz in college. Wow, I'm old, right? Study for a quiz in college. I don't even know what it is. Study for a test, all right? Let's just say test. So you're studying for your SATs. Are those still a thing? I have no idea. I'm so out of the loop. I'm pretty sure that still happens. Whatever standard the college makes you do to prove your worth in society, to prove where you are on the graph, right? So this is how we place people. Ooh, you're a 100. Not very good. You're going to work for the garbage hauler. No offense, I love the fact that the garbage gets picked up. So please continue to do your job. We appreciate you. It's just a joke. Let's ferret those out, all right? Discrimination. Not that kind of discrimination. I didn't mean to be discriminating. See where this leads? All right, get back to the actual point. Discrimination. So I think one of the best ways, and I apologize for sometimes having to sit and think, make sure I come up with something worth saying, and that isn't totally off base, because I am kind of making everything up, right? But it's an educated guess. It's based on research and experience. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. The best way to practice discrimination, or to learn discrimination, is to cut out the stuff that's bogging you down. Example, the general media. Don't watch it at all. But I need to know. Are you sure? How much is that information benefiting your day-to-day life? Is it stressing you out more? Is it making you happier? Is it making you friendlier, less afraid? Maybe that stuff's not what you think it is. Conspiracy theory aside, if we live in a capitalistic society, then that stuff is automatically not necessarily in the individual's best interest. There is an agenda, a narrative, and a program that is being pushed, out, and we are accepted to receive that because somebody wants us to do it very badly. And a lot of us submit, right? Or we have our various reasons. Well, I need to know. Okay, well, most of this, could you just go out in your day-to-day activities in public with other society, the community that you live in, that you're used to and people that you recognize, and you go to stores and have friends and various things. Could you not find these things out from them? Is it possible you could get that information? Could you even escape bad information? People will probably just, it's just bad enough, people will just tell you, you know? So I think that if we just temporarily let go of some of those really highly defensive, and go ahead, by the way, if you want to, go ahead, not stopping you. I'm just saying, if you want to develop the ability to tell the lie from the truth, you have to cut out some of the things that are forcing lies into you that you're accepting as truth. That's screwing up the whole process. So you need to, and this is a yogic saying, before you assimilate, eliminate, learn to eliminate, learn to, and what they're talking about is elimination of breathing exercises to clean your system out, different washes, the neti pot where you tip the salt water, through is fantastic, by the way. I suffer from chronic allergies 365 days a year, so I really love that stuff, just cleans your nasal passages out. I have something permanently screwed up here. And so you're eliminating toxins, crap buildup. Same thing with an intestinal cleanse, with the different fiber products and things that get things moving, right? It's called the prune diet. And before you assimilate, eliminate. So eliminate some of the things that are harboring extra brainwashing, for lack of a better word, conditioning, things that are being pushed upon you that you're accepting as truth. You don't even really know if they're truth, but you just think they're truth. This happens to us all. We're like, whoa, it's on the news, it must be true. It's a fact. It's based on what? An expert? Fantastic. Do they have an agenda? Are you sure? Maybe they're telling the truth, maybe they're not. This is what we have to accept as well, too. In order to practice discrimination, in order to succeed more at it, you also have to consider letting go of some of the ego stuff. And what I mean by ego stuff is when you say something in a defensive manner, like, well, I need to know. Bam, right there. If you do it in a certain way, I am just interested. These are very neutral terms. When we get real grabby, attachy, defensive, adamant's okay, zealous is okay. Honestly, you can do whatever you want. It's just some of these behavioral things that humans tend to exhibit, they sometimes get in the way of ferreting out what's true and what's not true. What's actually good, what's not good. So, elimination, temporarily at least. You don't have to do it forever. You can watch the news just a little less often. And I'm saying this is just a good example, I think, because right now there's just this media blast, and it's freaking everybody out. I don't see anyone happy as a result of all this news consumption. Like you're eating garbage, and then what do you expect? It's just garbage all in your body, garbage in your mind, garbage out your mouth, garbage in your behavior. You are what you eat, and that it appeals to, there's a different kind of hunger that humans have, and that's a hunger of information, attention, etc. There's a lot of different variations of it. So I feel, and this is based on experience, I practice this. I personally don't, I'm just going to scratch my nose. Okay. I personally don't watch the media at all. Every once in a while I will accidentally catch a headline of something, or quickly peruse just the headlines, so that I get the gist. If it comes up in conversation and it's something really important, people want to talk about it, I will inevitably hear about it. But you can control that conversation. And it's just one person, so it's not overwhelming. It's not something in your face the way that media is so good at. They're so good at it. I feel like this could be like one of those X-Files things, I'm like, I want to believe. I just don't. That's kind of how I feel in general. So discrimination is I want to believe. But the more I discriminate, as in the more I separate things that are false and things that are relatively true, I realize that there's a lot more of the lie than there is the truth. So everywhere that I go, I recognize that this is what's happening. And you see it more clearly when you get less emotionally attached to the whole thing. if you can kind of separate some of the ego out and let go of some of those, for lack of a better word, crazy responses that some of us do, including me, when we can detach from that overly emotional state. Because people get real defensive of emotion, like, oh, emotions are normal and whatever. Yeah, but you can also control them. And that's a good thing. Because you don't want to be out of control all the time. What benefit is that? Out of control. Think about it. Very simple. It's just not complicated. So when we're overly emotional, any of us, men, women, everyone gets it. All right? So not targeting any group. Then we can't see things clearly. It's very hard to think rationally, logically. Very hard. Almost impossible. And the more intense the emotion, the more negative the emotion, the harder, even more difficult it is to see clearly. And when you look at it from, let's always say, like, oh, man, I was really wild that other night. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's okay, bub, Yeah, because now you're thinking rationally and logically. You're like, wow, I was definitely wrong. Whether I admit that or not, whatever. But most people are capable of this. I have some faith in humanity. Some faith. Just a little. Just one. We're only one. So the ability to discriminate. Elimination. Eliminating things that may be bogging you down, or too much advertising, too much, and not just news, too much TV ads, too many pharmaceutical ads. Any of this stuff, the more of it we ingest, the more it really screws with your thinking. Even if you think like, those ads don't affect me. They totally do. They totally do. They are so good at that. Are you kidding me? All you gotta do is watch it. How many times have you found yourself repeating some jingle of a commercial, even if you hate that product? And then you're like, Cheetos. You know what? Maybe I'm gonna buy a bag of Cheetos. Screw it. What harm is it gonna do? Well, folks, Cheetos are pretty bad for you. So I think you could easily answer that question. This is great. Nobody's in here yet. I'm gonna roll with this. It's hard when you're out in public, It's like having your own private studio, but it makes it so much more interesting than a green screen. It's a blue screen instead. See? All right. So, elimination. There are a lot of other examples I could use, and I'm sure you could come up with one on your own. Everything from billboards to the advertising slogans at stores and malls, retail stores. Everything, everywhere you go, it's everywhere. I mean, just look around. See how much stuff's being shoved into your brain. I was going to say down your throat, but it's down your brain. I don't know what to call that. Shoved in your brain, crammed in your brain. Your brain, it's only got so much room. Why do you want to put all that stuff in there? Why don't you just put the stuff that you want in there? Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you're going to get some of it no matter how hard you try. Just consider the possibility of reducing it. And if you can do that, you will start to see things a little more clearly. You'll be like, oh, wow, that's not triggering my emotions. I can think about it rationally. Oh, you're just trying to sell me this thing that I don't really want. No thanks. Or you can go be like, you know what? I really do want that. I'm going to buy it. Go for it. All right. So when you're able to eliminate, you're able to discriminate. And cutting some of the ego out and some of the overly emotional reactions is helpful to see more clearly, logically, rational thinking. These are very good things. I know I'm a man, and this is like man talk, right? Those are the kind of things. But men and women are perfectly capable of the same things. We should get rid of that distinction. That's the kind of discrimination that you do not want. With that said, I'm going to do a quick prayer in my mind. Discrimination. Om. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Peace above, peace below, peace all around. Namaste.